if I just tell this person how fantastic they are, they get a rush of dopamine and they feel really good about themselves. And so they want to keep coming back. So I keep telling them how great they are. And that's how I make my money. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Whiskey, Lead, and Steel, Feeling Shirt While You Wait, the official podcast of Aggressive Defensive Solutions. I'm Rick Sutton, and joining me today is Jeremy Phillips of the AggDefSol crew. It's been a while since we talked to anybody, so we thought we'd stop in and say hey. For those of you who don't know Jeremy already, Jeremy, give us a little background about yourself. What is it you do, and how is it you came to be part of the crowd?
It's a interesting Forrest Gump kind of story there. Navy background, Navy officer. One officer that you guys seem to poke fun at. All good fun. But, didn't meet through service connections. Met through AggDefSol second Saturday when I was doing a lot more recreational shooting. And after, 10 or so years, you're like, hey, how about you come work for us?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sure, why not? Christ, that was going on about 8 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while.
And, now here we are making videos.
Yeah. So, more importantly, or as we get to it, so you instruct things in the military.
Yes.
Right? So you're an instructor in the military, qualified and trained for that. And then you were also a scuba instructor at some point in time,
yes.
Right? Still doing that? Okay. And then you were, at some point in time, weren't you like an NRA firearms instructor, some stuff like that?
Did a little bit of that, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you have a broad depth and width of experience instructing things generally.
Yes.
Right. So
that's
so,
fair.
so you got a pretty good background in instruction, and it's not just one instructional thing. You didn't just teach, how to put machinery together in the Navy. You've taught a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's important as we go forward for what it is that we're talking about today, because today's topic is what is the difference operationally and perceptively between coaching and instructing.
Absolutely.
Right. And so as we kicked this off, we were at Perfectly Frank's. They're not a sponsor, but they ought to be. Earlier today having lunch. Bratwurst there is amazing, but they were out today, unfortunately. But so we got talking about things that we wanted to discuss. A lot of the discussions that we have, and then eventually become subjects for podcasts, are the result of what we see happening in the space where we work, where we play, and where we are engaged. We come away going, who the fuck thought that was a good idea, right? So there we are. So to that end, we were talking about some stuff that we'd recently seen on the interwebs and on the social media, and we thought there's no instruction being done there. There's something else going on, but we don't know if it's instructing or coaching, and that brought us to there. So give me your perspective, your difference between coaching and instructing.
So, absolutely. So coaching, I don't know, took on a different connotation probably in the last 5 or so years. Before then you thought of a coach, you thought of your football coach from high school or whatnot, generally a respectable fellow. But in the last 5 years or so, I don't know, with social media or whatnot, coaching took on a different connotation. And I would, Lee, I think one of Lee's best quotes on this, and, we'll have to get his thoughts on camera one of these days, but coaching is a therapist without a degree.
I like that. That's pretty good. Yeah.
And I'll buy that, but, coaching, I think, has taken on more of a role as a cheerleader in certain aspects rather than a coach, because a coach, a true coach, is sitting there looking at making a team.
Yeah.
And is looking to play the strengths of his players on that team.
Yeah.
Where we're seeing coach come into play nowadays is all about telling you how good you are, making you feel better about yourself, while swindling you out of your money. Which gets me to a overpaid cheerleader.
Yeah.
But so in instructing, which we do, and which, as you mentioned, have done through multiple different venues, is all about making that person better. It is all about making that community better. If I make a better scuba diver, okay, scuba divers are generally, more safe. It's better for the person. It's better for the community.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Um, so it's all about a lot of the things that we preached before. It is keeping up with the latest and greatest, keeping up with the standards, not having facts based instruction, and continuing education. Coaching is none of that, or at least the modern connotation of coaching.
Yeah, yeah, the modern morph of that.
So that is again all about, hey, you're so great, you're so awesome, pay me $1,200.
Yeah, there's a bit of that going around. I and I see your point. And I agree. Generally speaking, where I look at it, how I've always delineated it is, to me, an instructor is somebody who has a set of knowledge, skills, and abilities, and imparts that knowledge and helps you hone that skill and that ability. Um, Overall, generally speaking, for the most part, right? So if you are teaching somebody how to be a shooter, right? You got to teach them the fundamentals of marksmanship, and you got to teach them the various things that go along with that. Um, and then a coach, to me, um, again, and I harken back to what a coach should be. So a coach is somebody who understands the endeavor that you're engaged in and does a little bit of teaching, but realistically helps you move in the direction that you want to be, right?
Like a line coach.
Like a line coach, and so I didn't play football. I was a wrestler, right? So my coach, not only did he have to teach me stuff, but he had to figure out what it is that I was good at and what the best methodology for me to get where I wanted to be was. And he had to do that with everybody on the team so that the team could then maximize its capability and go forward.
Certainly.
I have plenty of shooting clients who typically they start out as students, and then when they decide, well, I want to shoot competitively, and go, okay, well, there is some instruction to that, and there is some coaching to that, right?
Yeah.
Because one of the things that a coach does for you is the coach says, okay, this is the skill that you have, or this is the skill that you need, and this is the best way to practice it. This is the best way to maximize it. This is the best way to, get from point A to point B. When we were running on the shooting team, one of the things that we all did was almost everybody, when we would go to a competition, everybody would get a stage assigned to them. You go, okay, figure this stage out. Your job is to figure this stage out and come back and tell everybody what's the best way to work this stage. That's how you're going to coach through this. And that's what a coach ought to be. And that's what a coach should be. And a coach should have some experience. And, prime example of that, you see plenty of guys in the boxing world, right? You see guys who are coaches in the boxing world. They're not necessarily the former middleweight champ of the world. But what they are is they're a student of the art and of the science of this, and they've figured out how to get that person that they're coaching to be as good as they can be. And that's what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Well, honesty has to play into that, And from an instructional standpoint, it's obvious. When you're an instructor, you go, hey, you did that not correctly. And here's what you've got to do to do that. As a coach, you've also got to be honest enough to come in and go, hey, if you said you want to get from point A to point B, among the things you're going to have to do is this other thing over here that you didn't necessarily think was part. Like, as an example, and we've talked about this on shooting that on other podcasts, and I talk to this with people who want to be competitive shooters all the time. Guy will come in and he'll start shooting, and then he'll go, well, I want to become a competitive shooter. And go, okay, cool. And then they go out and they shoot some matches, and then they come in, they go, okay, I want to get better at this. And I go, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to need to go to the range by yourself on your own time and shoot 3-inch dots at 5 yards until your ears bleed. And you know that. And I go, okay. And I go, yeah, that's one of the things you got to do. Oh, and if you're serious about this, one of the other things you've got to do is you got to do 100 push-ups and 100 crunches and 100 air squats every day. I go, what? I go, yeah. Yeah, as your coach, if you want to be a championship shooter, you are going to have to increase your cardio and increase your strength and increase your resilience.
Weird. It's almost like it's a sport.
Yeah, it's a physical activity, and I run into the same thing in the equestrian community. I get people who want to come out and they go, "Hey, I want to level my game up for horseback riding. I want to be a more competitive horseback rider." And I go, "Okay, which gym membership do you have?"
What?
They go, "I don't have a gym membership." I go, "Okay, well, you need one.
No.
Because you're good. You have to carry yourself better so you can balance the horse better." And they go, and I go, yeah, that's the uncomfortable part about being a coach. So if you're a coach, in my world, if you're a coach and you're only ever telling somebody how fantastic they are and how great they are, you're not doing them any services.
No.
And
again, you're a cheerleader.
And a cheerleader's not doing you any good. We run back to and I know we've talked about this in the past. Marcus Aurelius. He had a guy who followed him around to remind him, you're not special.
Huh.
Everybody in the Roman Empire is kissing your ass, telling you you're the best thing since sliced bread. And you got to have a guy going, hey, no.
Just a dude.
No, you're just a dude at the end of the day. And if you lose sight of that, doom on you. And that's one of the things that really bugs me about our spaces. And I don't know if society is at fault for this, and the consumer is at fault for this, or if society is at fault for this because the people who are trying to make money have decided, well, if I just tell this person how fantastic they are, they get a rush of dopamine and they feel really good about themselves, and so they want to keep coming back. So I keep telling them how great they are, and that's how I make my money. But if I tell them, hey, you're as fucked up as a soup sandwich and you need to fix yourself, well, they might get offended and not come back.
Yeah.
But if they're as fucked up as a soup sandwich and you don't tell them that, you're not doing your job. You're letting them down, and you're not being a good coach. And I didn't play high school football. I played Pee Wee football, but I wrestled, and I'm sure you played football. We both know that at some point in time, there was a dude with a whistle around his neck who, and in my case, because it was in the 80s, probably said, "You fucked that up."
Yep.
Yeah. Think about it while you run 5 laps.
Yeah.
Okay, coach. Yeah. But of course, I always, and I still ascribe to this idea. So many of the coaches, many of the instructors that I had over the decades when I was doing various competitive things, when you did something really, really well, hey man, good job. And that meant the world to you.
Oh yeah.
Right? But if you're the starting quarterback for your football team and you're throwing to the starting running back of the football team and you throw 10 times and he catches 10 times, who the fuck's patting you on the shoulder for that? That's your job, son.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Yeah.
Right? So if every time, or as my grandfather used to say, one should never applaud the tenor for clearing his throat.
Yeah.
Right? If you go above and beyond,
congratulations, you did exactly what was required of you.
Yeah. So I think we get lost in the societal mix of, well, I want to go here and I want to be told how great I am. I want to feel good about myself. Well, I want to feel good about myself when I've done something arduous and I've earned the praise. I've earned whatever it is.
Yeah. Having gone to some of these, cheerleading sessions.
That's right. You went to a couple of them, didn't you?
Did
you sleep better at night out of the house?
No. It one of those, if you're not going to provide me with critical feedback and how I can be a better shooter, what the fuck am I paying you for?
Yeah.
If you're just going to sit there and tell me how great I am and take, pictures and videos that are, can be taken out of context one way or another.
Yeah.
Why am I paying you $1,200?
Yeah. Yeah.
But, again, this community, the shooting community, is arguably a very small portion of society.
Mm-hmm.
So unless you are one of those professional shooters that can look at a picture, that can look at a short video and be like, nah, you're fucking that goat 3 ways to Sunday.
Yeah.
And to anybody else, oh yeah, hey, that looks really cool, getting after it, making that money, whatever, freaking motivational saying you want to sit there and throw in.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and again, one of the things that I think we've noticed about that is typically the people who are most egregious about telling people how great they are
aren't that great.
and they don't know the difference.
Yeah.
Because they don't know the difference.
Yeah.
Right? It's you get back to the I have practiced this, or I have seen this, or I have heard about this, or I have done this in a very limited scope, static position, but I have not applied it under stress, or I have not applied it in real time. And again, you don't have to have traded shots with somebody to know what you're talking about and to have engaged in good tactics and good techniques. But if you haven't, what is your basis of saying
what is your platform that you're coming from?
Yeah, if what I'm teaching is the correct stuff, well, how do you know? Well, if I learned it from a credible source, right? So if you went someplace, you went to the schoolhouse at Bragg, or you were over at Green Team at fucking Dam Neck or wherever, and you learned how to do something, even if you never had to go do it real time, if you learned it from the people who really know it, then you probably know what you're talking about. You probably have a range of knowledge on that one. But if I'm teaching something that my sole experience about it is I saw a video on YouTube from another dude who I don't know his background, and then I came out and I played at this, then is what I'm teaching, is it worthwhile? And if I'm telling you you're great, really does that matter? I mean, if yeah.
But and
I think a lot of it has to do with when somebody gives you a compliment. Does the compliment matter?
More matters who it's coming from.
And that's my point there, right? Yeah. So if you went out and you got a pilot's license, and you went and you flew some airplanes and you did some cool shit, and Chuck Yeager was like, "That was fucking badass." That's way more important to me than a dude who's got 7,000 hours flying a drone going, "Oh, that was cool. You're awesome."
Yeah.
Dude, shut up. You're not awesome. If you're not awesome and you tell me I'm awesome, it doesn't matter. It does, Yeah.
But, and to that point, again, you brought up equestrian, my background, scuba, friggin' sailing sports and stuff like that. There's accrediting organizations.
Yeah.
There's professional organizations whose job is to set the standards, adapt the standards, update the standards, and things like that. In the shooting community, not so much.
Nope. A lot of it's reputation based.
So at that point, how do you know that, what you're being taught is valid, is relevant?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, as we've mentioned before about how you choose your instructors and how you choose your companies, you got to do some research. And at the same time, you got to spend some money. If you're taking one course from one company, that's your basis, that's your baseline.
Yep.
If you've taken 3 from the same company, once again, that's your baseline. If you take 3 courses from 3 different people in 3 different areas, okay, now we're starting to understand the greater sport here.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 of these guys said almost the same thing, a little bit different language, but the same thing. That third guy, though, friggin' all he did was stand there and tell me as I hammered the steel at 3 yards that I was doing great. So, at that point, you start playing the statistics game, and you start getting a feel for the community, I would say. Not so much science based, but you start getting an idea.
Yeah.
You start finding the like minded people, and you find your circle.
And you find the gravitas.
Yes.
You know what? I have been to more shooting schools than I can recall.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. And the military sent me to some, and the police department sent me to some, and when I worked for Blackwater sent me to some.
Absolutely.
That were non-Blackwater classes. I have very rarely, that I can recall, gotten anything that I really appreciated out of a class where I was constantly told how good I was.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say that, what I like is for somebody to tell me I'm a piece of shit and I don't know what I'm doing. That's not right. But if I showed up to your class and I was there with you for a week and we were working on skill sets, and over the course of that week, all you could say to me was, "Hey man, that was great. Good job." Well, I don't know that I've learned anything.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't do anything wrong, or if I didn't develop a new skill set, and truthfully, if you try a brand new thing and somebody tells you did it great the first time that you did it, you're either a prodigy, which you're probably not, or I don't know what their motivation is. The cynic in me goes, "Oh, well, they want me to fucking feel good about myself, so I dropped a bunch more money and come back and play with them."
Yeah.
And if I'm giving you my money, I want an education, right? If I wanted to feel good and get an adrenaline rush, I'd go to Busch Gardens and
Absolutely.
ride all the fucking roller coasters and eat all the fucking bratwurst and fucking Schwarzwald Kirschtorte I could find.
Yeah. But let's look at it from a different angle. Okay, we've talked about going to a class and being told how great you are for a week. If you went to a class and were told you were a shitbag for a week,
yeah.
One, not a great business model, but two,
yeah,
also not helping you improve.
No, not at all.
To a degree, competitive. I don't know what the word for it is, but somebody that wants to get that reward from somebody is going to try.
Yep.
You're telling me I'm doing this fucking terrible, that I'm the worst person you've ever seen. Okay, I'm going to try to prove you wrong. I'm going to try to do it better. But eventually you're going to get to a point where you're going to be like, okay, I've done this drill in 0.75 seconds, and I've done it in 5 seconds. And every time he's told me I'm a fucking dirtbag.
Yeah.
So at some point, no, fuck off. Beep. Boom.
Yeah.
3 seconds. Miss. No, whatever. Fucking I suck whether it's 0.75 or it's 5 seconds. Friggin' I'm not even going to try anymore.
Yeah. So God rest his soul. I know you're I'm going to say this name and you're going to, yeah. So Al Clark.
Yep.
Phenomenal shooter. Phenomenal knowledge base. And I was friends with Al. I liked Al. Al could be fucking prickly, right? And Al could just be a dick. And if you could get over Al's, cactus-like exterior, you could learn a lot. You could learn a lot from him.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things you had to learn around Al, and Al was sparse with praise, and he was quick to tell you were fucked up. But if you really did something well, Al would tell you. He wouldn't make a big deal about it. He'd be like, "No, that was good.
Yeah.
You finally quit fucking that up." And that was his idea of you did well. You finally quit fucking that up.
So similar person, similar personality,
Yeah.
small circle, DR Middlebrooks.
Yeah.
Same way.
Yep.
Shot with him plenty of times. Been told all the times I fucked it up, but on the time to go,
Yeah.
Oh, that was all right.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that'll do. You're like, fuck yeah. That dude said I'm not fucked up anymore. Yeah. So, and you got to find that. You got to find that middle ground, because again, what you can't do is you can't beat on students and just beat them down.
Yeah. Not a good business model again.
But you got to be honest with them.
Yeah.
And you got to find that middle ground. And the other thing, it's upon you as the person shucking out the money to be a little resilient as well. You know, if you dropped $1,800 on a 2-day class and you came away from that class and all weekend long you've been told how awesome you were and how great you were and how fantastic you were and whatever, and then you went out and you dropped $600 on a class that was a day long, and over the course of that day you were critiqued and you were told, well, you're not doing this right, you need to fix this, you need to fix that, okay, you did that well, okay, good job on this, you still got to work on this, and you came away from that and you were like, I think I'm going to sign up for the next class with the other group because I felt better at the end of the day. You need to be honest with yourself. You really do need to. If your goal is to get better at what you're doing, I don't care what you're doing, shooting, riding a skateboard, skiing, riding horses, scuba diving, jumping out of airplanes, whatever the fuck it is you want to do. If you really want to get good at what it is that you're doing, you've got to have some introspective capability, and you've got to have some integrity with yourself, and you got to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and go, okay, this group just told me how awesome I was. How much did I learn as compared to the one where I went and they were like, okay, you did that well, but you need to fix this, you need to fix that, you need to fix the other thing. Because again, as an instructor or as a real world coach, the goal is to make you better. Mm-hmm. And I can't make you better if I tell you you're perfect all the time. No. I promise you ain't fucking perfect.
And to that point, you know, it's a set of standards. Mm-hmm. You know, hey, when I started this, you know, I was, you know, doing this drill in 10 1/4 seconds. Mm-hmm. I took 3 classes with them and I spent $3,600 and I'm doing it in 10 1/4 seconds, but I'm looking really cool while I'm doing it. And I have a whole bunch more expensive gear that I don't know the purpose of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get that dopamine rush, but without that introspective of, hey, am I really doing this better?
Yeah.
Would I have been better spending $1,200 on one class and $1,000 on a gym membership and a range membership and a pile of ammo?
Yeah. Yeah. So it becomes one of those things where you've got to be honest with yourself and you've got to look at what it is that you're doing. So to that end, ask yourself whether the person you're talking to is an instructor or a legitimate coach or a combination of the two, or if they're just a cheerleader. Because if they're cheerleading, again, I'm a cynic, I'm a skeptic. I think if they're cheerleading, it's not because they want you to be better. They want you to come back.
Agree.
That's my take on that.
Nothing against professional cheerleaders. You got a point in the world, but
yeah, I mean,
just not in the shooting community.
Somebody's got to have an excuse to watch Dallas. That one's for you, Adrian. Talking smack on them boys.
I wonder if we should have an AggDefSol cheerleading squad.
Maybe.
That could go so many ways, and that's best left alone till another day.
Yeah, perhaps. Well, Lee's going to shut that down. He's like, no.
Not just no, but fuck no.
Yeah. As soon as you said that, all I could think of was the scene from The Replacements. So you were a dancer. What kind of dancing? Is lap a kind? You were in Cats? No. He danced at Pussycats out by the airport.
Oh.
All right. Any rocks, bottles, bombs, or hand grenades? No alibis?
Don't eat free cheese.
I like that. Yeah, and don't buy a Bursa. No, ick. Oh, coming soon to the Tidewater area. Arsenal Performance and Gun Works, 1200 North Battlefield Boulevard, 116. We're going to be open for business. We are going to be a performance shop. We're not going to sell guns per se, but we're going to try to make your gun better for you. Check us out. We'll be on the web, arsenalpgw.net. So probably by the time this goes out, the webpage should be up. Give us a shout, and we'll see you out there. Be good, be safe.
Out.
Yes, AggDefSol cheerleaders.
I could just see Lee fucking rolling his eyes.